I am doing great. I am having a good time at home here. Sorry I missed a Friday, but I was out with family, seeing my grandma. But I'm back. I'm ready to talk some NFL. Super excited for the show today. And again, thank you, Asher, for coming back on.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Tom, I don't know if you're gonna be allowed to come back on to our Friday shows.
That's fair.
We might just kick you off after I had a great day gambling yesterday. So,
So I'm the I'm the reason.
yeah,
Okay, I
I
got
Oh
you.
no! Oh no!
also
You hate to
I
hear
got to
it.
tell you the Chargers jersey today just is mean as well. It's just mean to me. I don't
I,
want to think about last week. I don't want to think about those refs and their heads on pitchforks. I don't want to
it,
think about that.
so it was either this or like a Tyler Eifert jersey from when he was on the Bengals, or like a very very tiny Emmett Smith Cowboys jersey. I'm working with what I got.
I've been meaning to get a Bengals jersey.
Okay.
That sounds fire.
I can't get a Bengals jersey. I'm a Browns fan. All right.
I mean, I'm
Well,
a Vikings fan, but I still kind of want a Bengals jersey.
I don't want to talk about it. Since after today, since he might be in a lot better position than the Browns are to make the playoffs, let's just say that.
The
All right.
Cardinals are
Well,
not that
obviously, we are looking forward to Week 6, but I feel like we have to, at least talk for a minute or two about what happened last night in Knoxville, Tennessee. I take it everyone here's seen it, everything saw it. Browns fans, it was basically Bolligate Part 2, except they weren't bottles and glass bottles. It was more like plastic water bottles, a whole thing of mustard, golf ball hit Lane Kiffin. Yeah, I thought it was hilarious. And then the way it ended, how exciting the ending was. And then that last play was just an absolute dud of an ending when you thought it was going to be awesome. My really only takeaway from that is the SEC and the NCAA have to be so happy that Tennessee didn't win that game, because I mean, I don't know what you do if Tennessee wins that game, because I just don't know what you do. So if you guys had any thoughts on that, if not, we can move on. But I just thought it was Lane Kiffin's little homecoming at Tennessee, and of course that happened. So, Tom, I guess if you have anything.
I mean, Ole Miss and Tennessee is kind of a weird rival in college football. Not a lot of people know about it, but like those two schools don't like each other.
Yeah,
and they keep battling it out. They have good games every year. But yeah, no, that was just a weird game all around to watch, to be honest.
Yeah, it was.
I mean,
go ahead, Tom.
I was just gonna say, it was a fun game to watch in general. I was catching the end of it at a Buffalo Wild Wings with two of my friends, I should say.
Dubs, missed that place.
It's all right.
They don't have them in England?
Nah, bro, they don't have any Buffalo Wild Wings in England.
Oh,
that's crazy! I can't believe that. That would be like such a sweet thing for like soccer fans to like just chow down on, because they would honestly probably eat more wings than like football watchers do, because there's no timeouts and you just eat.
English people, they love going to their pubs. Every pub has a game on. They love drinking more than they like eating wings.
Well, Asher, there's your moneymaker. Open up a B-dubs, but more of a pub-style B-dubs.
Instead of like buffalo wings, just serve fish and chips like everywhere else in London. So just serve fish and chips, but call it BW3s. All right. Tom, you were up. Anything Tennessee?
Oh yeah, it was fun to watch. It was a fun game to kind of catch the end of. I thought it was hilarious when the game was over. He threw on his little hoodie and like pulled it tight. It was like walking. I'm like, Lane, buddy, that's a windbreaker. It's not a protective barrier.
He's definitely a weird guy, but honestly, at this point, I just think he's funny. But yeah, that was for how exciting last weekend was of college football, and then this weekend being not very exciting until about like midnight, and then it got exciting, and then it was only exciting for 20 minutes, and then it was over. But Arizona State screwed me last night. I was 4-0, except for in the Arizona State pick 'em, and they were up by 21 at half. Couldn't beat Utah. They had like 56 total yards in the second half. It was unbelievable. I was not happy about that. But let's get into the more important stuff. The NFL today, Week 6. What we usually do, let's get into some injury reports. You guys said you had a couple tweets you had brought up. Just any specific players go on it, and then I have the full injury roundup right now. But anyone you guys know for sure is out or things like that, tweets you've seen.
Yeah. So you got Damian Williams and obviously David Montgomery out. So Khalil Herbert is a weird but solid play this week, I would say.
I agree.
That's the biggest one I saw. Colts announced they activated T.Y. Hilton this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't had much other than that.
So I think the biggest thing in fantasy football wise, maybe two of the biggest things, I'll just put them together. Russell Wilson going down with his hand injury, meaning Geno Smith is now thrusted into the starting role once again.
And you don't have your starting running back either, Chris Carson.
And Chris Carson. I forgot about Chris Carson getting hurt.
Which is anyone gonna mention Alex Collins later? Maybe.
Yes,
okay, all right. We'll save it for then.
Okay,
we'll save it for then.
And then the other big thing, and I think the biggest thing, and maybe even just football in general, Christian McCaffrey getting put onto the IR means you get 3 more weeks of Chubba Hubbard.
Yeah, but how well has Chubba Hubbard really been performing?
I get that, but I'm just saying McCaffrey not coming back affects a lot of people's teams.
Well, I'll tell you what, don't start Chubba this week. Vikings pass or rush defense is fantastic.
Some of us don't have a choice, Ash.
I feel that.
I have to explain the little tizzy I'm in this weekend over. But I can get to that later. Yeah, I think one of the bigger ones is Christian McCaffrey. I guess I have to jump in on this one. Like it's the same with Saquon Barkley. At some point, your best ability is availability. Like we haven't seen him play a full season in forever, and like I know people were even skeptical going into their drafts this year about him. I can't imagine what next year is going to be, because if he plays a full season, he's going to have probably one of the greatest seasons in NFL history, but he just can't make it through a full season. So yeah, that sucks. Another big one, obviously, this came out on Friday, I think. Nick Chubb is out for the Browns, which isn't as big of a hit as you would think, because for oddly enough reasons, Kareem Hunt has been getting the ball in the red zone a lot more for the Browns this year.
But Kareem Hunt is also shaken up this week.
Yes. I will say right now, I think it's going to be a pass-happy Browns offense this week because they don't want to kill Kareem Hunt, make him run 30 times a game when he's used 15. But just quickly looking over the rest of the injury report, Antonio Gibson and Terry McLaurin are slated to play for the Browns. Like I said, obviously Nick Chubb is out, and then both the tackles for the Browns are out as well. Jedrick Wills and Jack Conklin. And then nothing else from the Browns. Running back Edmonds is supposed to play for the Cardinals. Mike Williams is supposed to play. Allen Robinson supposed to play. Melvin Gordon's supposed to play. Kadarius Toney and Andrew Thomas for the Giants. They're both to be active, and they should be in the game, barring any setbacks in pregame. Everyone's supposed to play for the Cowboys. Patriots say they're optimistic about Damian Harris playing.
Breaking development: Cardinals are going without their head coach this weekend. He tested positive for COVID. Right. Cliff Kingsbury is not coaching this weekend.
Yeah, I saw that on Friday as well. Which
is good news for Browns fans.
I agree. I'll get to the Browns later on. I don't think it's going to be a fun weekend.
Well, so I actually think it's not just the head coach. I think the quarterback coach is also out.
Yeah, Chandler Jones is also out.
Kyler Murray doesn't need a quarterback coach to be out there.
I agree. Kyler Murray's insane. But Chandler Jones is out, and then someone else, maybe a little bit less significant, was I don't know. If I see it, I'll bring it up. Everyone is playing for the Lions, which is good. I feel like the Lions might get their first win this week over Cincinnati. Because I haven't looked at their schedule, but if they can't beat Cincinnati, I guess is okay, but whatever. Byron Jones and that's defense doesn't matter, and that already started this morning. Doesn't matter. So, if anything pops across your guys' Twitter feed, just
Absolutely.
get right into it. So I think a new thing now that we have Asher in, and for right now especially, I think we should kind of just go through all the positions and kind of give our top 5 for the week or top 3 for the week overall. And then we'll obviously get into sit, start, and sleep. But by doing this, we kind of just open ourselves up for just even more just things to talk about, things like that. And then obviously if questions come in, we'll answer the questions on the way. Obviously, you can look around. I know Fleury has our own fantasy rankings. ESPN has their own fantasy rankings. But this is just going to be me, Tom, and Asher's top 3 or 5. Doesn't really matter for every position in the fantasy football. And then we might even get into some DFS. I looked into DFS a little bit this weekend. So, Asher, the guest, just give us your top 3 to 5 quarterbacks for the day.
Absolutely. So the biggest one, obviously, is a must-start. Josh Allen is going against a weak Tennessee defense. For some odd reason this year, they just can't pull it together. So Josh Allen is my number 1 QB1 this week. You got Patrick Mahomes coming in with KC, 2-3 record. Not exactly what KC wants to see. Coming off a great season last year, I think Patrick Mahomes has a good opportunity to turn it around against the Washington defense. I have a mix with Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson today with the Baltimore-Los Angeles Chargers matchup today. It's going to be a great game. I'm excited to see both these quarterbacks duel it out. Justin Herbert has not shied away from all these young guns coming into the league. Did great last week against the Browns. Did great against Patrick Mahomes and KC. And then my 5th quarterback on my list is Joe Burrow. He's going against Detroit this week. Last week was a weird week with Kirk Cousins. I know I had him high on my radar. For some odd reason, they just played to their competition like they usually do, which is kind of tough as a Vikings fan.
That's how the Browns. That's how the Browns used to play all the time. They still play like that, so I don't know why I'm saying that.
So I have Joe Burrow as my QB5 this week against Detroit. I'd love to see how Joe Burrow handles that Detroit defense.
I like those. So, real quick, kind of before Tom, we get into yours, I think the main question after last week's performances that we saw from Josh Allen and Justin Herbert is a lot of people, I would say that if you started a team right now with who's playing, I don't think Patrick Mahomes would be the first pick. I think you would be choosing between Josh Allen and Justin Herbert. Do you guys agree?
Absolutely, yeah. No, Justin Herbert is lights out right now. I know he had a slow couple of games to start out with, but he has been lights out since, and I do not see him slowing down anytime soon. Josh Allen is just a physical specimen. That man's just a beast.
Tom, let's get your quarterbacks, homie.
I have a very similar list to Asher. I think the consensus number 1, and Justin, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think it has to be Josh Allen this week. I mean, he's just going up against such a shaky defense, to say the least, and he's been putting in work. I'm actually going to go with the man who can fit a strawberry through a battleship as my number 2. That was a quote from the defensive coordinator of the Baltimore Ravens.
Wow.
Justin
I've never heard
Herbert.
that in my life.
I will send you the picture. He literally said it this week. Someone asked him, how do you game plan and how good do you think Josh Allen is? And he said, I think he can fit a strawberry through a battleship, is the exact quote that he said. I love it. It's my favorite quote of all time. I might get a poster that has that or something. But I'm going with Herbert as my QB2. Mahomes is my QB3. I think that the wide – I'll get to that later because I'm going to talk about it in my start, sit, sleep.
Oh! He just fumbled at the goal line.
Oh, that's so unfortunate.
Oh, no.
And then my QB5, I'm gonna change it up a little bit. I'm not going with Burrow versus the Lions because we've seen how the Lions kind of hang in these games and hold their own and will play up to the competition. I'm actually going to go with Matthew Stafford as my QB5 versus the Giants. He's had a bit of an off week the past 2 weeks, I should say. where he was averaging somewhere around 22 to 24 points a game. He's only gotten 20 and 17 the last 2 weeks, but he can ball out, especially on this Giants defense that's kind of weak.
I like that. I wanted to put him as my QB5. I know Lions, and as much as it hurts to say, they are not a 0-5 team this year. They've had quite a few heartbreak losses. It seems like they really got a good coaching staff there, and I hate to see them go 0-5. Because that head coach wants to win. He wants that for his team.
Yeah, and it sucks because, I mean, if you just look at the line, they're just not a talented football team. It's like there's like not a lot you can do about it right now. They're just not that talented. Yeah. I am actually going to go with a different quarterback as my QB1 this week. I'm going with Lamar Jackson versus the Chargers. We saw how bad the Browns' run game tore up the Chargers last week. We also saw how great. Granted, the Colts secondary was probably like a college-level secondary last week, but Lamar Jackson put up, I think, 34 or 39. He set a couple franchise records. I really like Lamar Jackson because this is also a little bit of a letdown spot, I feel like, for the Chargers, and the fact that they just got a big win over the Browns in a very high-scoring game, and now they're kind of feeling big for themselves. I do think they still win, but I think Baltimore keeps it close. And then to Josh Allen, I agree. Josh Allen is very good. 3, Justin Herbert. And then my other guys would just kind of be filling in. Except I will say, I don't know if any of you guys mentioned Kyler. I think Kyler's going to have a really big game against the Browns. I've admitted before, I love Kyler, but I would assume the Browns are going to put a spy on him, probably Usu Koromoa. But Kyler Murray's quick, fast, and better, so I think he'll have a good game today. But I think Lamar Jackson is about to go down a stretch of games where he looked incredibly dominant once again. All right,
which is tough. It's a tough thing to. It's a tough pill to swallow too. I was watching Lamar Jackson's college tapes earlier today, and he is, if not the same, but he might look better in the NFL right now than he did in his college days. This man is really putting defenses on their toes. You have no clue what that guy's going to do with the ball. It's fun to watch.
He's actually developed his passing game, which is really interesting.
So I mean, I guess it helped. I guess it helped when in a training camp no one could film him. So I guess it helped. So.
He shut up all those haters that say he belongs at the running back position.
Literally,
we'll still be making Lamar running back jokes here. Don't get it wrong.
I don't love Lamar Jackson. He plays for the Ravens. I think he's gonna have a great game today. He's always going to fall back into a point where a good defense can figure out how to stop him once or twice a year, and that's when one of those is usually in the playoffs. So that usually stinks for him. All right, running backs, Tom.
I gotta see.
All right, Asher.
All right. I'll go ahead and start it off.
Yeah.
My running back won this week, and it's kind of a weird one considering how the Ravens have done against the run defense or against the run. But I'm going Austin Eckler as my running back one this week. Yeah. His development in the passing game, the way Justin Herbert has used him as his check down back, I think Austin Eckler has a hell of a game today. He has a tough matchup, but I know he's ready for it. And the man's just too shifty, especially in the pass game. If you have him in PPR, I think he is definitely a must start this week. He's going to have a lot of receptions as a check down back. My running back 2 is Derrick Henry, of course. Derrick Henry's just he's unstoppable. The man is Goliath going against Buffalo.
It's very funny because in the first 2 weeks when he wasn't doing well, you had those skeptical people out there is like, whoa, maybe this is the year he sucks. And anyone who's smart sat back and was like, yeah, no, he's going to figure this thing out, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I like Derrick Henry.
My running back 3 this week, Dalvin Cook is back. I love Dalvin Cook. I know he has a tough matchup as well against Carolina. Carolina's defense is scary this week, but it's Dalvin Cook. He's a force to be reckoned with. He knows how to find the holes. He knows how to get through a defense. And I feel like the Minnesota Vikings are going to have to go back to the way that things were. I see a lot of running in this game for the Vikings. And the coaches even came out and said that they're going to go back to their identity of the run game. So,
yeah, and if anything for the Vikings, that helps out Kirk Cousins even more.
Absolutely. I mean, as much as he loves passing, he's going to get a lot of pressure today in the pocket. So, my running back 4 this week is going to be Kareem Hunt. I know he's a little shaken up. I know he has a wrist injury that he's dealing with, but at the same time, he's running back 1 this week for the Cleveland Browns. No Nick Chubb this week. Kareem Hunt's going to get most of the workload, along with the rookie Felton, as well as Ernest Johnson. But I think Kareem Hunt has a great week this week. And finally, my running back 5 is going to be Aaron Jones against a porous Chicago defense. I feel like he has the right abilities to turn that defense into Swiss cheese. So we'll see how that goes.
Tom.
I am going to go with a completely different direction, and I'm probably going to need to be hard out.
Here we go.
I am going to go with Najee Harris as my 1 this week, right? Like I said, he's a guy who is involved in the passing game. He is the entire running game. And with Juju out, some of those shorter range targets are going to have to go somewhere. And yes, they could go to Deontay Johnson or Chase Claypool. But last year when there were receivers hurt, they were looking to primarily throw it to the running back on a screen or to let him go loose. So I think we could see an uptick in Najee's PPR. And the Seattle defense has not been good at all in any facet, but especially versus the run this year. So I'm going to go.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say I'm going with Najee as my sleeper 1.
My issue with Najee Harris is that he came into the league at the wrong time. If he were to come in around the Adrian Peterson era, we'd see both him and Adrian Peterson battling back and forth between most rushing yards in the league. The man is a power back. It's what he does. Yes, he's utilized in the pass game, but not as much as these shifty running backs like Kareem Hunt or like Austin Eckler or the check down to Dalvin Cook. Like you don't see a lot of shiftiness from him. You see a lot of power from him. Mm-hmm. And I think he was born in the wrong era.
But like he's been able to stiff arm people. He's been able to run through people, and it's getting him the yardage. You know, I mean, he's running back 4 right now on the year, I believe, for fantasy purposes. I don't even know if you want to count Cordell Patterson as a running back or a running back.
No, he said he wants to be an athlete.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know where you count Cordell Patterson, but if you want to take him out of the running back discussion, that makes Najee the RB3. So I understand your point. I agree. I think that he would have been absolutely amazing in an Adrian Peterson type era, but it's not like he's not doing amazing right now.
No, yeah. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. The only thing is that it's just he was definitely born in the wrong era. He has the skill set. It's just at the wrong time. You know what I mean?
100%.
He's a great running back, and he could be even better back then.
Tom, I actually one thing you didn't mention. They're playing the Seahawks, right?
Yes, sir.
The Seahawks are second to last in the NFL in rush defense.
I knew they weren't good in general, but I knew they were terrible. I didn't have the specific stat pulled up, but yeah, thank you for clarifying.
I'm just going to say this, come out and say it right now. Najee Harris was my start as well because they're playing Seattle, and Seattle has not stopped the run at all this year. So,
right. Well, there you go. But for the week, I agree. Najee, I think, is my favorite. Then I got into Austin Eckler for everything that Asher pointed out, the PPR. I know that in the run game, Baltimore's been pretty good, but Austin Eckler isn't like a pure running back. He's kind of like that Cordell Patterson, where he's an athlete. He's going to get the touches, might not be on the ground. So I think that might skew his value a little bit. Then I like Kareem Hunt too. I like him a little more than Derrick Henry, I think, this week, who I have at 4, simply because Buffalo has had such a dominating defense so far this year. I mean, you look at all of the games that they played fantasy-wise, I think they're the number 1 defense fantasy-wise in the league. And they haven't really played anyone who has had a fantastic rusher like Derrick Henry. But I don't think that they're going to give up so much room that a lot of people tend to give up to Derrick Henry. So I like Hunt a little bit more, again, for everything Asher said. And then I'm actually going to, as my RB5, put Ezekiel Elliott versus the Patriots today. Patriots are going to have their handful trying to cover the passing game and the receivers. And Zeke, while he's been getting some touches siphoned, I will say, by Tony Pollard, and Tony Pollard starting to become a viable flex option, Zeke has still been putting in work, and he's gotten a lot better since game one. It looked like game one was really he got game scripted out, but you look at that, he went from 5 points to 17 to 26 to 20, back up to 25 last week versus the Giants. We're starting to see the Zeke of old, I think, a little bit, even if he's not getting all of the touches.
I like how you pointed out that Tony Pollard is a viable flex option, because I absolutely agree. He's definitely a viable flex option, especially because going into this game, the only reason I don't have Zeke in my top 5 is because he is shaken up as well.
Yeah.
And when he's shaken up, you've seen a lot from Tony Pollard. That man's shifty. He could be a starting running back on any other team, just like Alexander Madison.
We've talked about this.
You have these RB2s that are unreal that could be starters anywhere else. It's just they have that one barrier to get past. And Tony Pollard might actually have a week this week, considering Zeke is having some health issues.
I agree. Justin, let's get to your RBs.
All right, like I said, mine was number 1 was Najee Harris. Just because, like I said, Seattle's defense is terrible, and Seattle's defense is actually okay against the pass. It's not great, but it's okay. And we've all seen that, like, Ben last week was all right, but he's going to be a week-to-week quarterback where he could fall off this week at some point. You never know. So I like Najee Harris as well. And I do agree that he's in the wrong time, but it's not also that he's just at the wrong time. It's like you look at Tennessee and what Tennessee did with Derrick Henry. They drafted him, and they built that whole entire offense around him. Pittsburgh is just never going to be the type of team that's going to build it around Najee Harris. Like, not right now, at least. Not right now.
They have 5 wide receiver ones on their team.
Yeah. So, I like that. And then Najee, I'm actually going with Kareem Hunt, number 2. If you look at all the factors, like I said earlier, he's been getting the ball a lot in the red zone. Everyone got excited because Jarvis Landry was bought off the IR this week, not going to be activated. Baker and Odell don't have really a connection at all. The only person that's going to be getting passes is probably Njoku and maybe some other guys. But because of also Baker's injury, I mean, Kevin Stefanski is going to want to run the ball more every single week that Baker's somewhat injured. So it's not like the Browns are going to shy away from the rush. I expect Hunt to get, I don't know, anywhere from 25 to 28 carries if at a high end. But, I mean, he's going to get the ball a lot.
So Kevin Stefanski is in a perfect situation with the Browns because he came in as a offensive coordinator from the Vikings. And you've seen what the Vikings do with the run game the past 3 years. Kevin Stefanski got the head coaching job in the Browns, and his mouth started salivating with fucking Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Are you kidding me? The man's like, let's run these guys.
Yeah, I mean, and you, like I said, from what the days in Minnesota, like Kevin Stefanski, just because Nick Chubb's out, he's not going to be scared to run the ball 30 times this game.
Oh,
he's
absolutely.
Not. And it's smart, and it's the smartest thing to do, even though both the tackles are out. Their 3 best linemen are the interior linemen, and they're all 3 playing. So
Kevin Stefanski knows how to play call those the run games. So so who's that? My number 3 now. Yeah. I like Dalvin Cook this weekend, like you said. I think Kirk Cousins is going to look down to him a lot, and I also think they're going to run the ball a lot. When you have guys like, we've seen it with the Saints the past couple of weeks. For the first couple of weeks, they didn't really give the ball to Alvin Kamara a lot. Last week, they gave him the ball. I think he carried the ball 23 or 25 times. So people are realizing teams are realizing that the run is working and that the passes. Yeah, I mean that was too far, but whatever. You get what I'm saying. Yeah.
You have something to say?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. I have Ezekiel Elliott also at 4. He's looked better and better every single week. He seems to not have the fumble issues that he once had. He's still not as good as he was, I think, a couple of years ago. But he's definitely going to get on the board this week. And then number 5, I have Austin Eckler as well. Austin Eckler would be higher for me, but I just kind of go off the last performance I saw, which was good from him. But they didn't have to run the ball all that much on last week versus the Browns. And we finally seen it where a coach is literally just using analytics to every single call he makes in Brandon Staley. And that's what he's doing. And he's realizing that the pass works on fourth down. So it's not like he's running these little dinky running down on fourth down. But Brandon Staley, I mean, we can talk about that on Monday, Tom, but he is a very, very good coach. And he is the new wave of the Billy Bean Moneyball kind of thing, analytics.
100%.
I like
100%.
it. I like that comparison.
I appreciate that. All right. Let's head into some wide receivers. I'm going to comb for some questions. Just go. Tom, let's start with you, then Asher.
All right, let me use the restroom real quick then.
Go for it. So for my wide receivers this week, I tried not to stay as close to the top as possible, but I mean Tyreek Hill should eat today because that Washington team. Again, I'm going to be talking about this a little bit more later, but the Washington D does not have the formula to beating the Chiefs. They're not going to get the pass rush on Mahomes to make him uncomfortable. He's going to have time to fire these deep balls to Tyreek Hill. Should lead to another Tyreek Hill day that I absolutely despise. So I have him as my number one this week. Devontae Adams, I believe, should end up being number two. After seeing the vintage game from him last week, I feel a lot more confident on his season. Not that he's been performing poorly, but it looks like that connection is back, and that Chicago team is just not it per se. Going with my Stafford pick, I have Cooper Kupp at 3. They are – welcome back, Asher. I had Tyreek and Devontae as my 1 and 2. Cooper Kupp, my 3. I think if anyone's going to have a big game with Stafford, it will be Kupp due to the chemistry and the fact that the Giant defense is not the greatest, particularly in the secondary. Mike Williams has been performing out of his mind this year, and I think that can continue today versus the Ravens. So I have him as my 4. And then I'm actually going with Jamar Chase. I know I didn't talk about Burrow putting up as many numbers in my quarterback spot as you guys did, but I think him and Chase obviously have that deeper connection from LSU, and we're really, really starting to see it now after 5 weeks of it just being the same thing over and over, super consistent. So I really like Jamar Chase this week versus the Lions, who are going to I want to say obviously they're going to give them a lot of opportunities with the ball on offense, and I think Chase will benefit from that.
I like it.
All right, Asher, let's hit yours.
Yeah, absolutely. So my wide receivers this week are going to be a little touchy. I know a lot of people are going to have some problems with it, but it's what I see coming. So my wide receiver 1 this week, I agree with the Matt Stafford pick and Cooper Kupp. I like Cooper Kupp this week. He's going against the Giants. The Giants have so many problems with the defensive backs in their system. And Cooper Kupp, he seems like the slot guy that Matthew Stafford has been praying for. So I feel like Cooper Kupp's going to have a great game this week. My wide receiver 2 is going to be Devontae Adams against Chicago. You can't not have Adams on your list, especially in the top 5. Adams is going to have a game this week. Going against Chicago. Chicago's had the problems as well. I like Devontae Adams this week. My wide receiver 3 is going to be Tyreek Hill. Like I was saying with Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill has had some problems catching the ball, slipping through his fingers in the Super Bowl last year, this year as well. The ball's just slipping through his fingers, hitting his helmet, and I felt like he had to do a lot of practice this week, a lot of training this week to get his hands down, and I feel like Tyreek Hill has a chance to bounce back this week. So I like him in that matchup. My wide receiver 4 is going to be Mike Williams against Baltimore Ravens. Mike Williams has proven that he is the star that he was drafted to be. Mike Williams is a force to be reckoned with, especially because of his speed. You've got Justin Herbert, who can throw miles down the field. Justin Herbert loves the Mike Williams connection just because he is fast, he is shifty, he can get down the field, open some space. And Justin Herbert, he loves that option.
Oh, and he just is always wide open in 15 yards of space. The fact that happened, and I'm not going to talk about this for long, But the fact that happened not once, like once you're like, whatever, like busted coverages happen in college, they happen less in the NFL, whatever. That it happened twice, that he was so open, he like stopped and still scored.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's so fast that he can create that open space, just like Jalen Waddle, just like Tyreek Hill. Like they can create the open space, and Mike Williams does that perfectly, especially as a guy that he's like 6'4" or something like that. The man's huge.
He is 6'4".
The man's huge. And
6'4", 220.
Yeah. So that brings me up to my wide receiver 5, and as much as I hate to say this, but I have DJ Moore with Carolina as my wide receiver 5 going against Minnesota. Minnesota has had their problems with their defensive backs. They have no clue who to put at CB1. Between Patrick Peterson, you got Cam Dantzler that's coming back this week. You have Harrison Hand. You have a lot of defensive backs that are good that can get there, but they just don't know how to play that defensive scheme yet. All these guys are out there just running blind with these wide receivers, and I feel like DJ Moore has the opportunity to capitalize. So I have DJ Moore as my wide receiver 5, or wide receiver 5.
Asher, I feel your pain so much. I mean, if you look at the Browns, it's the same thing. Like Newsome is pretty good. He's a rookie, but he's pretty good. Denzel Ward is one of the better in the NFL. Troy Hill is one of the better slots in the NFL. They just can't figure it out as a team. It's incredibly frustrating, but whatever. I'll get into my wide receivers. So number 1, I have Stephon Diggs going up a Tennessee defense that is still not very good whatsoever. And obviously, we talked about Josh Allen being probably one of the 2 best quarterbacks in the league right now. So I think Diggs is only going to benefit from that. My wide receiver number 2 is Tyreek Hill as well. I mean, I think the biggest question or the biggest disappointment so far this year has been that Washington defensive line that was supposed to be so dominant. But if they can't get pressure on these other teams, there's no way they're getting pressure on Patrick Mahomes. And I just think the Chiefs are probably kind of pissed off that they are 2-3, and they should be 2-3, but they know that they're a lot better on offense. Yeah. Their defense they have some serious issues, but that's for another time. My number 3, like you said, if this guy's not in your top 5, I mean, you're just ignoring oblivious facts in front of your face. Devontae Adams, easy enough.
Hey.
Cooper Kupp 4. We saw it a little bit last week. I do think Cooper Kupp, the crazy amount of yards he got to start the season, I think he's going to start tailing off just a little bit. We saw it last week with Robert Woods having a huge game. Yes, Stafford likes Kupp, but like I said, it's going to be tailored off to get around to all the players. And then number 5 for me, Terry McLaurin. I'll talk about Taylor Heineke later, but like I said, the Kansas City defense, the Kansas City offense is good. The Kansas City defense is actually very bad. They have a lot of issues. And right now, I'd say Terry McLaurin might have the best hands in the NFL. And I think he will have a big game just because he's also one of only Heineke's guys to throw to. So
amazing tracking abilities by McLaurin. The man's tracking abilities is disgusting.
And it's crazy because at Ohio State, I mean, even in his senior year, I think he played. He was like the 4th receiver on the depth chart. So, yeah, he's incredible, though. He's incredible.
Quick question before we move to the tight ends.
Yep.
Do any of you find it funny? Yeah, I have no idea where he was throwing that ball. I have no idea.
Defensive back, bro.
There were like 3 defenders, and there was no receiver.
Who got picked off?
Tua.
Defensive back.
Oh.
This is coming after Lawrence fumbled on a sack.
Oh my God!
And literally the first or second play after getting the ball, Tua throws it into like a wave of like 3 defenders. He's like walking off the field as fast as he can with his helmet up, and he's like,
Dude, I couldn't even find a wide receiver on the screen when he threw that ball.
Yeah, I didn't. It was all defenders. I have no idea. Tua sucks. They should trade for Deshaun Watson.
He threw it straight to the defensive back. That's
crazy. Literally. He either overthrew or underthrew a receiver by about 10 yards, one way or another.
At least.
It's either 10 yards over or 10 yards under. I have no idea. Anyway, question before we move to the tight ends. Does anyone find it interesting no one mentioned DeAndre Hopkins, even though everyone's high on Kyler this week?
Yeah, so the wide receiver core in Arizona is super touchy. Between Rondale Moore, Christian Kirk, DeAndre Hopkins, and the touchdown hawk, AJ Green.
Yeah.
It's weird. Kyler Murray has so many weapons, especially, not this week, but next week he's going to have Zach Ertz to add to that.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it's hard to put those guys in your top 5, especially because you have no clue who Kyler's going to go to, who he is going to feel more comfortable with going into the game. So,
after what happened to the Chargers last week, I was literally looking at for the starter, all of the Cardinals receivers, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go with DeAndre Hopkins. No, but like last week, Rondale Moore had a great week, but then in week 1, Christian Kirk had like 200 yards. So
in week 2, AJ Green had like fucking 10 touchdowns. Like.
Yeah. So I just you know what, I'm finally learning from all my years of gambling. I'm just not going to touch those guys. Just not going to touch them.
That's why. So I brought it up because as the trade deadline inches closer and closer, because you only have until week 8 in most fantasy leagues to trade. No?
Cardinals Super Bowl window is open right now, and they're
not what I'm saying. Not what I'm saying. I'm saying for fantasy purposes.
Fantasy purposes.
Most trade deadlines are either week 8 or week 10, somewhere in that window there.
Yeah, no, fantasy purposes.
Consider trading D-Hop, man, because he is not performing like the second or first round guy that you thought he was performing like when you drafted him. That's the only point I was going to make.
See, I disagree with that. It's not that he's not performing. He's not getting the ball as much as he usually does.
Hence the point that he's not performing.
No, he is performing. Shut up. You're stupid.
Where do you know where he's currently ranked amongst all wide receivers?
I think he's like wide receiver.
So you think from last year that DeAndre Hopkins, his talent is completely fallen off?
Not what I'm saying. That you're looking at this from an actual.
You are saying no. You are saying performance.
He finished as the wide receiver 4 last year. He is currently wide receiver 18.
But so he has a steep drop off in his performance.
Fantasy production, yes. Numbers say he's falling off.
Let's say fantasy production because it's not his fault. That in real life,
this is a fantasy show. We're talking fantasy football. Yeah. You're looking at this from an actual football perspective.
Yeah.
I like the Cardinals way too much. So shut up.
I did that with the trade deadline too. I was looking at it as like a football perspective, not a fantasy perspective. So.
Oh my God, guys! It's Sunday morning fantasy.
My bad. No, but I do agree that
Justin's
D-Hop,
done. He's clocked out for the show.
Fantasy production and D-Hop is not going to be the same as it has been in the past. They have so many different options. Kyler Murray is going to feel comfortable with a different wide receiver every game. So it's going to be tough trying to get D-Hop in there.
You can also see it happening with the Bills and Stephon Diggs. Like he isn't having nearly the same production he had last year.
That's the point I was going to go into next. You had Stephon Diggs as like what, your wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 1? Yeah. Stephon Diggs has not been getting the same attention as he has in the
wide
past.
Receiver 26.
That's the reason he left the Vikings is because he wasn't getting the attention, and right now he's really not. Between Cole Beasley, you got Dawson Knox, who's killing it right now. By the way,
Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah, Emmanuel Sanders has turned into a TD hog. Like
not even just a TD hog. He gets a solid portion of that passing offense. I want to say he gets like a solid, like I would say like 33% of the target share or something. If you look and you broke it down, like he's getting targeted what seems every other play.
Yeah. No, Emmanuel Sanders, you see number 1 on that field. He's throwing it to him. I swear to God. Yeah.
I'm still not used to the single-digit numbers. I'll admit it. I'm still not used to it.
No, I feel like I'm used to it for a guy like Rondale Moore, who's coming straight from college wearing number 4. But like Emmanuel Sanders, seeing him wear 11 or wear whatever number he wore, and now he's wearing 1. Like, yeah, it's kind of weird.
My biggest thing is Trevon Diggs.
Yeah.
Switched from his number coming into his rookie season, decides to switch his number to a single digit. Seeing a defensive back with a single-digit number is extremely wild.
Dude, look at the entire Arizona secondary.
Yeah,
they're all single-digit numbers.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like they have all their quarterbacks on the field.
I know.
It's weird.
All right, let's reel it back in. Let's get to tight ends, right? Correct? Is that where we are?
That is where we're at.
All right, after you've started most of them, why don't we start with you, man?
Absolutely. So my tight end one obviously has to go to Travis Kelce. I really like the KC offense this week against Washington. I feel like they're 2-3. The record does not reflect how they want to play this year. And I guarantee this is the opportunity to turn the team around. So Travis Kelce is my tight end one. My tight end two is going to be Darren Waller. The man has proven that he deserves to be a tight end one. It's just he needs to get up there. He hasn't had as much time in the league as Kelce has. Waller's been destroying defenses left and right, and I think he has a good matchup this week against Denver. I'm not quite sure. Is Darby back in this week for Denver?
I can look that up.
I got it. You can look. Keep going.
If he is, then it might be a little tough. But if he isn't, he's going to find those holes in that defense. I guarantee it. My tight end 3 this week is going to be Dalton Schultz for Dallas. I feel like Dak Prescott has loved his connection with Dalton Schultz. He has proved that he can be a viable option in the red zone. And against a New England Patriots defense who just got rid of Stephon Gilmore not a couple weeks ago, Dalton Schultz has an opportunity to do something to this New England defense. My tight end 4 is going to be Mark Andrews against Los Angeles Chargers. I feel like this is going to be a pass-heavy game, especially with Justin Herbert, what he did last week. Lamar Jackson is trying to prove that he is a quarterback and he loves throwing in the air. Mark Andrews is going to be a viable target, especially last week. Last week, what he did to who did Baltimore play last week?
The Colts on Monday night.
Yeah. Mark Andrews had like a 2 TD game, I'm pretty sure. Mark Andrews killed it. And finally, my tight end 5 is going to be Dawson Knox. I love that guy. Dawson Knox came out and is putting up numbers that Kelce usually puts up. The past 3 weeks, he has like 20 points in fantasy alone in PPR. Against Tennessee's defense, Dawson Knox is going to look to have another great game. Those are my tight ends.
I'm glad we have different lists because we can talk about it. Justin, if you're good, I'm going to just hop in real quick because I have a lot of the same names that he had, just in a different order.
Go ahead.
I have to have Kelce at 1 because he's clearly the best fantasy tight end, and it's not even close. I actually have Dawson Knox as my 2 for everything you stated. I think Tennessee's defense is super weak as is, but they don't have the secondary depth and the corner depth to really cover anyone more than the 1 and 2 receivers. So I think it could be a really big day for whoever's running slot, maybe Cole Beasley for the Bills. I think Dawson Knox is really going to have another fantastic day. You mentioned Mark Andrews coming off his 41-point performance on Monday night. He put up as many points as Justin Herbert last week, for perspective. With his 147 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 2-point conversion, and 11 receptions. I think if the Ravens are going to hang with the Chargers, he's going to have to perform somewhat similar to that. I actually have Hawkinson as my 4 because he has been kind of quiet since his first 2 weeks where he put up over 20 points. He only put up 3 versus Baltimore, 8 versus Chicago, and 4 last week versus the Vikings.
He's shaken up. He's injured.
He's shaken up. He's injured, but he has the connection with Goff because he knows how to force it to his tight ends and how to get it to his tight ends. If they're going to win this game, Hawk's got to get back on and play in the way that he has, and I think they're going to start to realize that and try and force it to him a little bit more. And then I have Dalton Schultz as my 5. I thought I was being sneaky, trying to sneak him in there versus the Patriots defense. Patriots have given up the fewest points to the tight end position this year so far.
We'll see in the red zone. Dalton Schultz has been a hawk in the red zone.
Right, and that's exactly my point. They haven't faced an offense like the Cowboys where they literally have playmakers at all of the skill positions.
Yeah.
So I love Schultz here. I think that he's going to kind of get lost in the defense. I do not have Darren Waller in my top 5.
Which is wild, I might say.
For 2 reasons. I love Darren Waller. I love everything about him in his game, and I agree he's a top 5 tight end for fantasy in general. This week, with all of the stuff that went on with Gruden and the head coaching changes and the fact that they're playing Denver, I'm going to tip my hat a little bit. I have Derek Carr as my sit-em quarterback. I think that offensive line is not good whatsoever. The Denver pass rush in general has been fantastic. Even when they lost last week to the Steelers, they were able to get pressure on Ben. I think that it's going to be very hard for Derek Carr to get the ball downfield or just get the ball out in general.
I see it a different way. They have an interim coach coming in, and who better to try to give your best playmaker the ball? Interim coach. He needs to prove a point that he deserves to be a coach. Darren Waller is the best player on their team. So he's going to try to get Darren Waller the ball as much as possible.
Yeah, I understand 100%. I think it's going to be difficult to try and get him the ball.
Fair enough. All right. I like it. I mean, they're probably going to double him quite a few times. I'm not going to lie.
Probably the whole game.
Let's be real.
All right. So my tight end 1 is Travis Kelce as well. It's a lot closer than I think many people think because my number 2 is Mark Andrews. I saw the Chargers defense up front close last week, and I saw also up close in front. Not up close in front. I watched it on TV. What Lamar Jackson did. I think Mark Andrews is going to have another big game. And you have to look into the fact where they're developing Lamar's passing game over his running or anything. If they're just working on his passing game right now, Mark Andrews is by and away the best receiver on that team. I'm talking literal receiver as well. Marquise Brown is just a track star that probably catches the ball 7 out of 10 times. I have Dawson Knox at 3. I pretty much all the same names as you guys. Dawson Knox at 3, Darren Waller at 4. Tom, I am with you as well. Like I said earlier, I think the Lions are going to get their first win today. So I think the only way they do that is if Hawk has a big game because they really don't have anyone else to throw to. All right, I'll be right back. Read the comments, Tom.
Yeah. You good.
All right. Well, with that,
do we just want to hit defenses quick while he's?
Yeah, why not? I wasn't gonna, but
I mean, I wasn't gonna either, but
I have them. We're doing them today for start, sit, sleep because I'm just gonna throw them out there because they're very quick and they take up an extra minute or 2 here or there. But
all right, go ahead and hit your defenses.
Well, I'm just saying, defense for this week, I got to go and look. I know my favorite defense this week is the Rams versus the Giants. Daniel Jones coming off a concussion, a lot of injuries, missing Saquon. Everything just looks like they're going to be in favor of the defense there. I'm pulling up. I was not quite prepared. I also really love Indianapolis this week versus Houston. I know Houston is able to stay in games and keep them competitive. But the Indy defense, I think, is just very, very good. By the way.
Jalen Waddle, baby. Let's go.
My dad started him in Dynasty. We love it. Did you see the 4th and 2 that he just went for?
Yeah,
Urban Meyer? Yeah, he deserves to be fired. The Jaguars deserve to lose this game, 100%.
Yeah. No, Urban Meyer is not ready for the NFL level.
No, he should have taken 2 years. Apparently,
he had a legacy in college, and he should have just stayed with it.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I think we can have this discussion. Do you think that whole thing and everything was him trying to get fired so that he could go take that USC job?
Yes and no. I would say yes. Yes, because I feel like he misses the college level. I understand that he's probably getting a lot of heat in the Jaguar system right now, especially from the owner, all the guys around him. He just doesn't have the coaching play style that you need for the NFL level. I mean, you have Pete Carroll coming in as a previous college head coach that did great, but he's better at the NFL level. Like, he knows how to come into a system and change it in a perspective that the NFL needs. I don't think Urban Meyer has that skill level, and I don't think he's ready to be an NFL head coach. So I do believe that he's I don't want to say that he's trying to bomb his job, because not a lot of people are going to be willing to do that. But at the same time, like, he might be.
We're talking about Urban Meyer because he made a questionable 4th and 2 call. Instead of kicking a field goal to extend the lead, went for it on 4th and 2. But not only did he go for it on 4th and 2, he ran the ball into the line.
Like directly into the line.
Yeah, he I don't really know how to explain him, but he's like never mind. He's like the one character. He's like the one character from Seinfeld that does everything he can, like, just to try and get fired. George, yeah, he's doing everything he can to just be like, all right, you can fire me now. All right, you can fire me now. And then
he just keeps getting pushed along. Like, it's okay. You can keep going. Oh, here's the promotion.
You know what? Maybe he belongs at USC.
I mean, he does. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The first time when that quote came out that he said to whatever coach that was, that it's like playing Alabama every week, I was like, he wants nothing more than to go sit in the Pac-12 with all the rest of the shitty Pac-12 teams and dominate them with all the 5 stars from California.
Yeah,
that's all he wants to do.
He literally.
That's the only reason that USC pops onto the rankings every now and then again. You know?
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, and he also then just gets to be a celebrity in Los Angeles, because that's kind of what Pete Carroll was. See, I think the USC job, you kind of have to be open to being a celebrity, because that's what you are. So then things like when you're shoving your fingers up a 22-year-old girl's ass on camera at your own bar, just be like, hey,
and that brings
Ben Affleck did it. Ben Affleck did it.
That brings me up to Josh Rosen. Wait, he played for USC, right? No, that was
UCLA.
Yeah, UCLA. Those guys in the Pac-12. Josh Rosen, he's another guy that was extremely hyped up and drafted in the top 10 because he's playing shitty opponents and he knew how to play the college play style. Comes into the NFL, has no clue what the fuck to do.
Yeah. Well, I also remember the knocks on Josh Rosen were he's actually like too smart to play football. And then the other one was he had a hot tub in his dorm room. So,
I don't blame him.
I mean, both of those things I'm 100% in on. Right?
I'm not even. How are you too smart to play football?
You're not.
No, that was the joke, because he's not. Yeah,
I don't get it, bro.
Like I said, I've asked Tom this a couple of times. I think there's a point if Trevor Lawrence, like next year or the year after that, it's still going like this bad, it would not shock me if he just walks away from football. He doesn't seem like the guy that's totally invested in it.
So I said this last year, and this was an extremely hot take by me. I commented on a post about Trevor Lawrence and then reposted it to the Tab Fantasy discussions. I think Trevor Lawrence has an extremely sluggish game, and I think he had the system that he needed in Clemson to succeed with that kind of play style. But I think he's extremely sluggish. I don't think he has the abilities to be a great NFL quarterback, and everyone kind of ripped on me, but look what he's doing now. He's playing the exact same play style, and it's not working out.
And let's be honest. I mean, Urban Meyer is not helping him whatsoever.
No. Trevor Lawrence, he looks sluggish. That's the thing. He just looks sluggish.
Yeah, I feel that.
And maybe it's because he doesn't believe in his coach as much as he believed in Dabo. I mean,
dude, let's not talk about Dabo right now.
Justin will never will. So
they're so goddamn bad, and I love every second of it. All right, well let's get into our sit, start, sleep. Maybe if questions start flowing in, I'll get some questions. And then I did go 3-1 yesterday. I have some NFL picks to give out at the end here. They should be winners. I'm only doing, I think, 4 this week. Decided to lower the stakes a little bit after 2 weeks of just getting castrated. So that's awesome. All right.
I apologize. First off, I want to say this. I apologize to anybody that went with my picks last week. My picks did not go well. I talked to Tom about this. My picks did not go well.
Justin Herbert, sit him. Best game of the season.
Yeah, exactly.
Mine.
And I went Kenneth Gainwell, start him. He had like 1 point.
And he had 1 point on Thursday too.
The worst thing I did was that my sleeper tight end and my stardom tight end were both Browns, Austin Hooper and Harrison Bryant, and I didn't say anything about David Njoku, who ended up having 170 yards receiving, but
on 6 catches.
Being off that one play.
Yeah,
I mean.
Well, thank God Leonard Fournette kind of saved my ass because he's had great games the past 2 weeks. And
I just have no credit. I have no credibility on my sit-start sleeps anymore, and you know what? That's fine. That's fine.
This was the first week this season that I've actually been so off.
I think everyone's like that. Week. It was a weird week.
Yeah, it was a super weird week last week. We had guys that were wide receiver 5s making 2 touchdown games. Like what?
Yeah, Chris Moore, bro. Chris Moore going for 2 touchdowns on the Texans.
Yeah.
Like 170 yards. I have never heard that man's name. Apparently he played in the league before, but hey, Chris Moore.
So he actually reenacted the Minneapolis Miracle that Stephon Diggs did against the Saints.
Right.
He had a great sideline catch, jumped for the ball, and looked up the field, stayed in bounds, didn't go out of bounds, and made a touchdown. It was great.
All right. So let's start with our sits. All right, let's start with our Stidham at quarterback. We'll just go around the room. Quarterback.
Start him?
I think we should start with Stidham. I think that's more important.
Stidham. We're going to start with Stidham, huh?
All right, fine. We'll start with Stardom. Jesus Christ. You guys are okay. You know what? Time to go. Who we starting?
Start with Stardom. You always start with the start.
No, you got to start with Stidham because then you know. Just go, Tom. Just go.
Am I doing my sit or my start? I really don't care.
Start.
Okay. I have Taylor Heineke as my starter versus Kansas City this week. Kansas City's D is very weak.
Sleeper pick.
Kansas City is giving up the second most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. And Taylor Heineke's been QB 12, 9, and 5 the past 3 weeks. So I think he's about to pop off this week with Kansas City, or against Kansas City, I should say.
All right, Asher?
So my starter this week is not going to be a sleeper pick like Tom just gave us, but I'm going with Justin Herbert. He's a clear starter this week. The man went off against the Browns last week, and this is going to be any game like I expect it to be. Justin Herbert is going to have a hell of a game with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen in that offense.
Likewise with you, Asher, I'm going with Lamar versus the Chargers. He probably had his best. Was that his best fantasy day ever last Monday?
I don't want to say maybe ever, but definitely top 5 ever.
Yeah, so he's hot, and that Charger defense got torn up by, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are good, but even Baker Mayfield looks pretty good. So, he's going to have a big game. All right, Asher, we'll start with you, running back.
Running back. My starter running back this week, hold on, I have it all written in my notes.
I just have a giant whiteboard.
Yeah, sorry. All right, so my starter running back this week is going to be Austin Eckler against
Chargers.
No, listen, I'm telling you, this game is going to be crazy. I know I called the Chargers-Browns game last week a low-scoring game, and they proved me wrong, so I'm not going to make that mistake again. I feel like this is going to be a high-scoring game with Baltimore and the Los Angeles Chargers, and I feel like Austin Eckler is going to be that check-down back that Justin Herbert's looking for.
All right. With that, Justin, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
You can go.
All right. I'm probably going to get yelled at again for my pick, but I'm going with Khalil Herbert versus Green Bay this week. Obviously, we talked about Damian Williams getting put on the COVID list, and we saw Khalil Herbert last week take a majority of the snaps. I forget the snap percentage exactly, but I want to say it was like 60-40 as is. He's a solid PPR option, but he also has some game on the ground. So there's just a ton of opportunity there. I don't really see them going with many more running backs behind him. So for sheer volume.
This man's going to come in with the sleeper picks, be like Aaron Jones, Lamar Jackson.
No,
his stardoms are sleepers, is what I'm saying.
I don't know. If they pop off, then they're stardoms. I always look at sleepers as guys that people think like are going to do bad, and then I really think they're going to do good. Stardoms, I'm like, people think that they're going to do good, and I think they're going to do good. And situms, people think they're going to do bad, I'm going to do bad.
Your sleepers are more of dark horses then.
Yeah, that's at least for me. That's how I set mine up.
Fair enough.
Whatever.
Justin doesn't agree.
Yeah, whatever. Mine's pretty easy. Kareem Hunt, like I said, the Browns are still going to run the ball, and they're going to run the ball a lot. And Kareem Hunt's going to get the majority of those carries, and he's by far the best running back out of the backfield catching the ball on the Browns team. So he's obviously going to be involved in the passing game. If Kareem Hunt has a big game, the Browns can win. If he doesn't, the Browns can't win. So that's kind of how I see it. All right, wide receivers. How about Asher? You can go ahead and start.
Wide receivers. All right. So my stardom this week is going to be Terry McLaurin against KC. I understand that he hasn't. I mean, he's, in my opinion, between him and TD Lockett, they're the best trackers in the league. And I feel like against KC, they're going to need to pass the ball quite a bit. So Taylor Heineke needs to get on his game against KC. Because Patrick Mahomes is going to run that scoreboard up, so Terry McLaurin needs to be there for him, and he's going to start him.
All right, I feel that.
Love the pick.
Tom.
I am going with Michael Pittman versus Houston.
He had a good week last week.
He had a really solid week last week, but more importantly, Houston to number one receivers, and by number one I mean the leading receiver on each team. They gave up. Actually, I shouldn't even say number one on each team. They gave up 114 yards to Stephon Diggs, 74 yards to Emmanuel Sanders, 126 yards to DJ Moore, 86 to DJ Chark, and 77 to Marvin Jones. And some of those teams that those guys play on are not very good football teams. So with the Colts having one of the worst breakdowns and collapses I've seen in a really long time on Monday Night Football to the Ravens, I think they're going to try and get the lead early and hold on to it versus Houston. So I love Michael Pittman this week versus Houston.
Okay, I feel that. All right. So I'm gonna go with Keenan Allen. This is kind of a wish-washy thing right now. It's not wish-washy. I mean, it's either going to be Keenan Allen or Mike Williams. So I'm going to go with Keenan Allen because Mike Williams is playing really, really well recently. But I think that means that the Ravens are going to stick Marlon Humphrey on him the entire game. So I do think Keenan Allen will then benefit from that. Once again, I could be wrong, and they could put Humphrey on Keenan Allen. But I just think by the way Mike Williams has been scoring touchdowns and game-breaking plays, I think they'll probably have Humphrey shadow him most of the game, so I would think Keenan Allen would benefit a lot off of that.
That's an extremely hot take, and I like that. They should stick Marlon Humphrey on Mike Williams, but at the same time, I mean, wide receiver 1 to cornerback 1. You're going to have to stick Marlon Humphrey on Keenan Allen. I know Keenan Allen has been hushed. He's been quiet. But at the same time, he's still the wide receiver 1. He's still the most dangerous wide receiver on that field. So I still feel like Marlon Humphrey is probably going to be sticking to Keenan Allen.
100% agree.
I'm going to go ahead and start with the tight end so no one takes my pick.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I'm going to go with Mark Andrews of the Baltimore versus the Chargers defense. Like I said, he's the best receiver on Baltimore's team. It seems like, even though we saw it last week, and I don't really trust John Harbaugh necessarily, it seems like they're opening the playbook up a little bit more for Lamar Jackson, which means they trust him more. So I think Mark Andrews has a really big game. I also agree with Asher. I think this is I think this is going to be an awesome game. I think it's going to be so cool. I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to come down to the fourth quarter. Last possession, probably it's going to be a very good game. So I would definitely recommend watching it. But I do think I think it's going to be an offensive just shootout again. So I like Mark Andrews. Asher, go ahead.
All right, so my starter tight end, same as last week, I'm going Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox has proved that he is a viable red zone target. Josh Allen loves him. He made great plays last week, and Dawson Knox is he's a playmaker. He's a great tight end. He gets up for the ball, and he does something with the ball after the catch. His yak is crazy, especially after last week. I think Dawson Knox is a solid pick this week.
Yeah, and he's exactly what they needed to possibly take them over the top.
Absolutely, yeah. Dawson Knox he stepped up. He definitely stepped up. The tight end, the receiving core, man, that's a dangerous offense with Josh Allen.
Yeah. Tom.
I am going with a guy who did not have the best week last week, was saved by a touchdown. I'm going with Tyler Higbee versus the Giants. We were talking about how Stafford likes to get the ball to Kupp and the chemistry. Stafford has also always been a guy that shares the ball around and knows how to get it to the tight ends. Higbee currently playing at tight end 15 has underperformed, I think, a little bit due to some injuries mid-games, and specifically in 2. But he did connect for a touchdown last week versus Seattle on one of his 2 catches for 14 yards. Like I said, very uninspiring game. But the Giants, the past couple of weeks, and I have it pulled up here, they've given up 6 catches for 79 yards to Dalton Schultz versus the Cowboys, 5 catches for 45 yards to Logan Thomas, and 6 catches for 62 yards against Noah Fant. They're susceptible to giving up targets and specifically catches to these tight ends. And I think that Tyler Higbee has the ability to get away a little bit and potentially break one for a touchdown, especially deep in the red zone. So I'm going with Tyler Higbee this week versus the Giants.
Okay.
I'm really interested to see who your sleepers are. After your whole stardom, I'm interested to see who your sleepers are.
They're sleepers, man.
All right, so I guess what goes next, guys? Because clearly I don't know. So which one goes next?
We're going sit 'em, right?
Okay, you guys said it.
Yeah.
The Rams defense needs to be started.
Okay, well you can put that in there. I guess I'm gonna go with Colts defense as the starter this week.
I went with Carolina. So
Carolina, I hate to hear that.
Sorry. Hey! I've told you, Asher, that I'm not the most analytical fantasy football guy. I got to tell you, this morning I got into the team rankings versus the pass and the rush. I'm on my A game today. Carolina is good against the pass, so
all right.
That they are, I guess. They're number one for total yards given up, total passing yards given up. But yes, let's go to our sit-ems. I'll start with you, Asher.
Ooh, really? All right. Well, my sit-em this week is obviously Daniel Jones. A lot of you probably see him in the waivers. This is not the week to pick him up. He's going against the Rams defense with Jalen Ramsey. I understand that some of these offenses have done something to the Rams, like Kyler Murray, but I feel like the play calling for the Giants is completely different, and I don't think they have the necessities or the requirements to beat the Rams. So I think Daniel Jones is not going to have a great game, and I think Daniel Jones is a sit this week.
100% agree.
Tom, go ahead.
I tipped my hand before. I'm going with Derek Carr versus Denver. We had a lot go on over this past week in between games with the Raiders. Without getting too much into that, I think that's going to cause a little disconnect with the new head coach and the team. Carr is going to be the one most affected by it simply because of his relationship that he had with Gruden. But alternatively, as well, Denver's pass rush has been lethal this year. They get through the line no matter how good it is, which I don't think the Raiders line is that good. So I think everything is lined up for Carr to fail today.
Okay. I feel you. My sit-in quarterback, sorry, Asher. Once again, I told you I got to the team rankings. I told you I got to the team rankings this weekend. So I'm sitting Kirk
Here we go.
Cousins
Kirk Cousins.
against the number one pass defense in the NFL. CJ Henderson's not playing, which actually I think is actually good because I think CJ Henderson sucks.
He's terrible.
And I don't know if Gilmore's playing. He's not inactive, but he's not playing. Okay.
I don't think so. I think
I
he's
just
still
checked it.
technically on the IR for one more week. I thought.
Yeah, I don't think he's eligible this week.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, either way, I think Carolina has a good pass defense. I think Carolina has a good overall defense. I think people thought that. I mean, Sam Darnold has played very well from what people thought they were.
That defense is also disgusting.
Yeah, that defense has also been very, very solid. I mean, those guys up front, they get pressure on the quarterback. Guys like Derek Brown and Brian Burns is having a good season as well. So, Kirk Cousins. I mean, me and Tom, we've talked about it. For whatever reason, Kirk Cousins is very good in fantasy, but I hate him. But he gets the job done. He gets the job done.
I hate him.
I hate Kirk Cousins.
I hate Kirk Cousins.
Every week, every Sunday I go into it. I'm like, Kirk Cousins, this is the week he falls off. He has 350 passing yards and 4 TDs. I'm like, okay.
And all of it came in the fourth quarter because why not?
I
hope he proves you wrong. I'm
also going to say just the added bonus to saying Kirk Cousins is. I know you said it earlier, Asher, but Dalvin Cook is back, so they're probably going to run the ball
a lot.
Yes, more than they would have with Madison. So
and they know what Madison could do. The man still had 20 touches.
I think he had like 30 fantasy points last year.
Yeah, they're gonna go with Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison. Madison's gonna see a lot of game time this game.
Yeah. All right. Everyone got their quarterback. Running backs. Tom, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Asher, you went first for all of them. I should have you guys buzz in like Jeopardy.
Yeah, right.
I am going with a guy who I have had in all three of the categories so far this year. I've mentioned his name every show. Damon Harris this week is so uninspiring to me versus the Cowboys. The Cowboys have held every single running back that they have faced to under 57 yards. And his touches as a running back have started to go down. He's just not getting a ton of carries. He gets some PPR points here or there. He gets some touches out of the backfield like that. But
still got James White, don't they?
No, he's hurt.
James White is hurt?
Yeah, he's been hurt for like 2-3 weeks now.
I don't know if Damon Harris is a sit then.
Well, he has not been performing well with White out. He's been barely getting by with like 9 points, I think, over the past 3 weeks. Average. So he's not getting the 100-yard games that we saw the first 2 weeks of the season on the ground. His PPR targets come here or there because they also run Ramondre Stevenson, and I forget the other guy's name off the top of my head, but Damon Harris has not been performing up to expectations with James White out, and I don't think it continues here versus the Dallas defense.
Ramondre Stevenson has proven that he's ready for the NFL level. The rookie coming in, he's done great things with the Patriots so far.
All right, Asher?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs. He is shaken up this week. He's battled injuries this season. Between him and Kenyon Drake, they have 2 running back ones. I understand Kenyon Drake isn't anything special. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he's anything special. But at the same time, he is still sort of considered a running back one in any other system. So I don't think Jacob sees the volume this week, considering he's still a little bit shaken up. He was shaken up coming into the game. And yeah, I don't think he's a worthy start this week.
I feel that. All right. My sit at running back is going to be James Conner versus the Browns. The Browns are actually second best in the NFL in rush defense. And he usually gets the ball around the goal line more than anything. And now with the news, Chase Edmonds is playing. He's not going to get the bulk of the carries. They'll probably split it more evenly. And like I said, I think the Browns their running defense is very good. They can't stop the pass for shit, but that's okay. So I would sit down James Conner this weekend.
I actually love that pick. He was actually a guy that I was considering for mine. I love that pick.
All right. Asher, you're up. Receiver.
Receiver, huh? All right. So I'm gonna go with not a popular pick this week, but I'm gonna go with AJ Brown for Tennessee. I understand that AJ Brown is usually a must start in most teams, most systems, but he really hasn't shown me much this year. And going against a Buffalo Bills defense, where they're definitely going to put their defensive back one on him especially. I don't see a lot coming out of AJ Brown this week. So I'm sitting AJ Brown. Not an easy sit, but I'm sitting him.
Again, some of us don't have the option sometimes to sit AJ Brown, which is unfortunate.
Oh, that's fair.
But definitely for daily fantasy. Did he shank that? Oh no, he got it. Okay.
He barely got that.
I know.
Really
I thought he shanked it.
That was really close.
Urban Meyer's like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, for real. That ball went like 5 different ways, that kick.
Justin, am I up or are you up?
You're up.
Okay. I am going, and this is a guy, it sounds bad to say sit him. Like, even if I had some other rookie that I would be throwing out there, I would sit him for the rookie. I'm sitting Allen Robinson until further notice. I mean, he's just I don't have him in any leagues, but Allen Robinson.
We do. Don't we have him in one of ours?
No.
Did you trade him?
We don't have him in ours. You might have him in one of yours.
I think we have him.
I don't think we have him.
Okay, go ahead. You're probably
right. I stayed away from Allen Robinson this year.
I just have not liked anything about it. I mean, Fields is not looking for him the way Trubisky looked for him. If you look over the past 4 years, Allen Robinson has had 150 or more targets every single year. Do you know how many targets he's on pace for this year?
I don't know.
No, I don't.
99, which is a huge drop-off for someone who's considered one of the better tight ends wide receivers in the league.
What did he get last year?
I think he had 150. I can look it up real quick. I know he broke 150 because the stat that I found said that he had over 150 for the past 4 years. You have him in the Johnny Manziel league, Justin, but I do not have him.
Bummer. Okay.
Bummer.
Make some real smart moves with that one then.
Yeah, so last year he had 151. 2019 he had 154. 2018 he didn't play every game. 2017 was obviously the year that he was very, very injured. But then the 2 years before that he had 151 again for 2016, 2015. So this is a guy who is used to getting a huge target share, and he's now on pace for less than 100 targets.
All right.
I especially hate him for his Green Bay.
Justin Fields is not performing like I thought he would. Like, he's not passing the ball, and Nagy needs to get off the play calling. He cannot be play calling anymore.
I definitely don't think Nagy's doing him any favors, but I don't think Justin Fields has looked very. I mean, he doesn't have any talent around him other than Allen Robinson, who.
No, whatever. he has talent around him. He just.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's performing the way he does. I mean, you have fucking Darnell Mooney, who's a great wide receiver. You have Allen Robinson. You have a great tight end,
Cole
Kmet.
Yep.
You have all-star running backs in not only David Montgomery. I know he's out. Damian Williams, he's out too. But you got Khalil Herbert as your running back 3. That man is a beast. He's a great check-down running back. He has talent around him. He just needs the right play caller.
And he should be getting what's his name back pretty soon. The short guy.
Tariq Cohen.
He should be coming back pretty soon.
Yeah. No, he definitely has talent around him. He just needs a better play caller.
All right. Who was I going to sit? What are we on? Running or wide receiver?
Yes.
Sorry, I just got a text.
Oh, good.
You're good.
CeeDee Lamb versus the New Orleans secondary, and this is also kind of like Tom's. I'm sitting CeeDee Lamb for the foreseeable future. He just hasn't looked that great. He hasn't looked that great. He's not.
Yeah.
What?
No, that's a bold pick, and I love it. That's great.
It's just he was supposed to be the main guy opposite Amari Cooper. He just hasn't lived up to expectations yet. I'm not like giving up on him, but he just hasn't lived up to expectations yet. He has a lot of drops, and it seems like more and more every week Dallas is shifting back into more of a running team, like when they used to feed Zeke a lot. And now that they have two viable running backs, I think they would like to run the ball kind of like the Browns do, with 60-40 run pass option. And Amari Cooper's very good, so he's going to need to get his balls. And then I think it's just we've seen it this year. If anything, CeeDee Lamb has been more like Jamar Chase when Jamar Chase was in the preseason. He just drops a ton of passes right now. So, right now and probably for next week and the week after that, I'm not playing CeeDee Lamb. All right. All right, cool. Tight ends, Asher.
All right, so my tight end sit this week is going to be Tyler Conklin for the Minnesota Vikings. I know a lot. He was a waiver target for a lot of people the past couple of weeks, especially with Irv Smith coming down. What was it before week one?
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Conklin seemed like the go-to for the Minnesota Vikings. He's been great, but at the same time, he's facing a tough linebacking core in the Carolina Panthers with Luke Kuechly. You got a lot of linebackers that are great in that system, and Tyler Conklin, I'm not sure he's going to be able to find room in that defense. I feel like he's not going to be able to find that hole that he usually finds. Carolina has a great defense. They're good against tight ends. They're good against wide receivers. It's going to be more of a running game for the Minnesota Vikings, and Tyler Conklin is a sit for me.
I like that. Conklin disappointed me last week. I'm not gonna lie. I thought he could have had a big game, and he just didn't.
Yeah.
I am going to go with one Robert Tonyan for Chicago. My man has had 4 or less targets in 4 out of the 5 games this year. I said at the beginning of the season I thought he was going to be the biggest bust out of tight ends when we did that show with Justin. He had, I think, what was it last year? Like 10 or 12 or 14 touchdown receptions that just was not sustainable year to year, week to week.
Mm-hmm.
He's proving my point right in the fact that, like I said, 4 or less targets in each of the 4 out of the 5 games this year. He's a guy I'm quitting. I'm dropping him in all formats. He's tight end 32. So if he's still your starting tight end, man.
No, I wouldn't drop him quite yet. I know he had a late start of the season last year too. I think Aaron Rodgers might have to look to him more as the season goes on. So I wouldn't drop him quite yet, but yes, I would sit him for the foreseeable future until he proves something of himself.
I am dropping him personally.
Fair enough. I'm picking him up in every league that has him on waivers.
Wow. Some bold stuff going on here. All right.
I like Tonyan. He's a late bloomer in the season. I guarantee Aaron Rodgers. Their teams are going to start figuring out their offense, and he's going to need to look to Tonyan soon.
Yeah, I feel that. This is more of just an underwhelming overall so far, and I think I'll guess that a little bit going into the season with how weird their signings were. I'm going to go with Hunter Henry. They signed him and Jonnu Smith or Gerald Everett?
Jonnu Smith.
No, Jonnu Smith.
Okay, so Jonnu Smith, they signed both of them in the offseason, probably trying to think that both of them may be able to equal Gronk at some point, but they've been disappointing all year. I don't think they're opening the playbook fully for Mac Jones yet, which is completely fine. But once again, it's another for the foreseeable future. Until you start seeing New England tight ends have big games again, I just don't see the point in playing them because they're going to try and run the ball, play defense, and have Mac Jones manage the game. All right. And then, we can do our sit-em defenses. Quickly, the Browns.
Washington.
They might give up 7,000 points this week.
7,000 points. Jesus Christ. That's
I'd like to
lot.
see a 100-touchdown game.
So I'm actually going to go with the Chicago Bears as my sit-em defense.
It's a good one.
Going against Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. That's a lethal duo. Aaron Jones in that backfield. It's going to be a tough game for the Chicago Bears.
All right. Go ahead, Tom.
I went with Washington versus Kansas City. Obviously, we've talked about how bad they've been this year, but most importantly, we've talked about, and especially last week, we talked about the formula for beating the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Washington defense just does not have it. So they're going to probably give up a ton of points as well.
I like it.
All right. Down to our sleepers. Asher, I'm going to let you go first just because I think I have the same answer as you, so this will be both of ours. Go ahead, Asher.
I don't think you do.
I think I do.
No, I'm going to go with Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, I think you do.
Okay. I'm going to go
I saw
Taylor
you mention it earlier, and that's why I flicked you off.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm going with Taylor Heineke. I know that was Tom's stardom, but this is my sleeper, considering he is not the guy that you usually would think would be a stardom. Taylor Heineke, he's going to have to do a lot of passing in this game, especially keeping up with the Kansas City offense, the high-power offense that Kansas City has. Taylor Heineke is going to definitely have to do a lot of work in the air, and that comes to points. That produces points. So I'm going Taylor Heineke.
I feel that. Tom?
Obviously, I love everything about Taylor Heineke. Made him my starter for a reason. My sleeper, a guy everyone's assuming is going to do poorly, I'm going with Mac Jones. I talked about how Damian Harris is going to have a very down week versus this Dallas defense. Like I said, the defense is giving up 57 or fewer yards to running backs, but they are 28th ranked in the pass defense for fantasy football. They struggle in the secondary, obviously not extremely with Trayvon Diggs turning the ball over left and right, while I think Mac will throw a pick or two his way. Dallas gives up a ton of yards and gives up a lot of red zone opportunities. So I'm going with Mac Jones versus Dallas as my sleeper this week.
Okay. I had the same one as Asher, but I'm also going to throw another name out there. And this is just more of what's probably going on behind the scenes in Vegas, and that it's just going to be a bad day for them. Teddy Bridgewater could have a pretty good game against that team. Mm-hmm. Like I said, they're running under interim coach. The defensive coordinator is still calling the defensive plays, I assume. They haven't been that great on defense all year. And then, like I said, with everything going on outside of football, they have a lot more things to think about other than football. So I
actually just swapped out Taylor Heineke for Teddy Bridgewater because Russell Wilson's out on my team. I just put Taylor Heineke for him. But I do like the Teddy Bridgewater play. I just think Taylor Heineke is a better game.
I agree. I like the Teddy B pick because the Raiders secondary has always scared me a little bit. Asher, do you want to move on to the sleeper running back?
Absolutely. So my sleeper running back this week is going to be Devontae Booker for the New York Giants. The reason I'm going with him, Saquon Barkley's out. Daniel Jones is not going to know what to do against a veteran Los Angeles Rams defense. That defense is looking scary. They should be a 5-0 team. They're 4-1, unfortunately, to the Cardinals. But they have a squad. They have a defensive team behind them. And I feel like he's going to have to check down to Devontae Booker. And if you have him in PPR, if you were able to pick him up this week, like I know most people probably tried to, he's going to be a solid play this week, and he is my sleeper.
Yeah.
What, Tom?
I was going to say he's a solid pick if you got him. That's all I was going to add.
Did you go?
I did not.
Okay, go ahead.
My sleeper running back, I am going with Zach Moss versus Tennessee. A lot of people are benching and saying Zach Moss is not the move this week because Tennessee currently holds the 14th ranked run defense. But if you have watched any Bills game ever this year, you can see that, number one, they're not a rushing team. And number two, Zach Moss gets a ton of red zone opportunities out of the backfield as a receiver. He is their goal line guy, so he has that opportunity when they do get inside the red zone. But he is much more of a pass-catching threat out of the backfield with opportunity to get some of those yards after catch points. So I'm going with Moss, even though a lot of people are fading him against this Tennessee defense.
No, I like Moss. I don't see why anybody would try to be fading him because he's going to have a great game against Tennessee. I guarantee it.
Yeah,
that's a great sleeper pick.
All right, mine's going to be out there, and feel free to criticize it, but at least hear me out. My sleeper / like if you're in dire need of a running back today, this would be a very good pickup. Dearness Johnson for the Browns. Just hear me out. Only for this week, not for next week. Even if Nick Chubb is out of this week, but just this week for sure. Last time Zeke went out, Nick Chubb went out, and it was only Kareem Hunt and the rest of the running backs. Dearness Johnson versus Dallas last year had 13 carries for 95 yards and a touchdown. That was alongside Kareem Hunt. So he's, like I said, if you're in dire need of a running back today, he's gonna most likely be available. He's gonna get, I would think, 10 to 12 touches at least, if not more. Like I said, I think the Browns really still just want to run the ball. But yeah, Dearness Johnson is not a bad pick. And something else in there, I believe he splits returning kicks with Anthony Schwartz. So another way to score. I don't know.
No, I like that. I'd rather go Felton than Dearness Johnson, but I do like it.
The only reason I'm not going Felton, Felton's a good pick as well, but Felton, I just don't know what they're going to do with him because I see them using Felton in more of a role that they would be using Kareem Hunt in, where Felton will be there for a lot of the. So PPR, yeah, he'd be really good. I think I agree.
So either way, those Cleveland Browns running backs. With Nick Chubb out, they all have opportunities to have great games.
Before we get on to the sleeper wideouts, it took Urban Meyer escaping the United States to get his first win as an NFL coach. The Jaguars.
What was that? How long was that field goal?
Like 40 something, I think. That Urban Meyer. With 5 seconds left on 4th and 8, runs up a slant play. Laviska Shenault gets to the first down marker, calls a timeout. 1 second left.
Literally 1 second.
Puts the kicker out there, rookie kicker. I think it's Mike Wright is his name, and hits the game-winning field goal after 20 consecutive losses. Jacksonville gets their first win. And like I said, it took Urban Meyer escaping the United States to get his first win as a head coach.
I got to tell you, if you're a woman aged 20 to 24, blonde, out at a London pub right now, you better be on the lookout for Urban Meyer. He's coming. He is coming. All right.
10 minutes till kickoff. We can get to these sleeper wide receivers.
Yes. Asher, hit me.
Yeah, I'm going to go T. Higgins for Detroit, or against Detroit. T. Higgins, I think, is going to have a fantastic game with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is going to know what to do against this Detroit defense. I think it's going to be a good game for T. Higgins.
I like that pick. Tom?
I know that we talked about sorry, I just got a text to myself. I know we talked about Daniel Jones struggling versus the Rams defense, but I am going with Shepard as my sleeper wide receiver. Is he taking over wide receiver 1 duties? I don't know. I know Galladay's out, but I kind of forget. I know Tony is currently hurt. I don't know if he's playing.
Tony is playing, but Sterling Shepard is still a wide receiver 1 for that team.
I agree. He's a PPR magnet. On the year so far, he has 18 catches on 22 targets for 223 yards and a touchdown. I think that with Galladay out and Tony playing hobbled a little bit, Jones is going to have to look his way for especially a lot of the short yardage stuff. So I think PPR-wise, you could salvage a really solid day if you're looking for someone off the waiver wire to potentially pick up and play as your flex.
I like it.
All right. For my sleeper, I'm going Brandon Cooks. Against the absolutely decimated Colts secondary. We see what Lamar Jackson did to them last weekend. And they're, like I said, their secondary is just pretty gas right now. So I'm going Brandon Cooks from Houston.
Love the bounce back game for Cooks this week. Love it.
I do like that, yeah.
Okay. All right. We're back in Wi-Fi. Good. Let's make these quick because it looks like somebody's stalling out a little bit. So let's get through these.
Yeah.
Tight end, Asher, hit me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Ricky Seals-Jones
Damn
for
it.
Washington. I'm going Ricky Seals-Jones for Washington. Taylor Heineke obviously is gonna need that tight end to look to. If not Gibson, the running back for a check down, they're gonna need Ricky Seals-Jones against KC. So Heineke's going to see a lot of pressure this game. So he's going to need some check down guys, and Gibson and Seals-Jones is going to be those guys. So I like Seals-Jones this game.
I also went with Ricky Seals-Jones here. He should be the second option with Curtis Samuel out, I think, this week. I think that's what I saw.
Yeah.
Kansas City has been terrible versus the tight end position. They literally just gave up 117 yards and a touchdown to Dawson Knox. And Ricky Seals-Jones last week had 9 targets, so I look to him to continue the trend.
Where did Ricky Seals-Jones go to college?
I have no idea. I want to guess Toledo.
North Carolina.
Texas A&M.
A&M,
yeah.
All right. My sleeper should have been my sleeper last week. Whatever. David Njoku for the Browns. Like I said, and I think me and Asher, I think we talked about it last week. At some point this year, David Njoku is going to become a tight end one on the Browns. He's too athletic. He's too big. He's too fast to not be good. He just needs to keep his consistent play up. I think he does that this week. So I would definitely start him. Defenses, I'll just start out. I don't even know who I have. I don't even know what page I'm on. Sleep on the Cowboys defense. Oh, yeah, because also, definitely the Cowboys defense because Trayvon Diggs intercepts a pass every game, and they're also playing against Ben Roethlisberger, who's a walking corpse.
Dallas has the Patriots.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well.
So you got Mac Jones, which could lead to 2 or 3 picks, so I like that. Asher, what you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Broncos defense against Las Vegas.
Vic Fangio is so good.
I know Las Vegas, a lot of people have them like high on their radar because they had a good first 3 games, but I think the Broncos defense is fantastic. I think they have the right defense to try to make a playoff push, and I think the Broncos defense is going to do fantastic against Las Vegas.
I like the Broncos defense is awesome. They're always awesome.
Solid. They're solid.
Big Fangio is such a good defensive coach.
Yeah.
Hey,
Tom?
And to close out, Asher, I am going with the Viking defense versus Carolina.
Let's go!
As my sleeper.
Let's go!
Carolina, Sam Darnold without Christian McCaffrey genuinely scares me. I think everyone knows without McCaffrey there, Panthers probably won't make the playoffs if he doesn't come back soon. But Darnold without him very much scares me, so I'm going with Minnesota.
I love
that. 2 quick things before we close out here. So I guess I didn't tell you guys yet, but I'm the dumbass who in our Pirate League didn't get any protections or targets in this week. So if I lose, I am probably losing Kyler Murray, which means I will not need to do this show anymore because I will completely give up this season. So yeah.
Isn't your Pirate League like stacked?
Yeah, it's great. But I could lose though. I don't know. And then last week we all picked 6 games. I went 2-4. Asher, you went 4-2. Tom, you went 5-1. I got 6 games on the docket right now. Give me winners. Asher, we just lost you. Hopefully we get you back. Tom, Cleveland, Arizona.
That was last. Oh no, Arizona.
All right. I will go with the Browns as the hometown team. Did we actually lose him?
I think we did. We will. I could get them from him. I will text him the list that you text me.
Okay. Chargers, Baltimore.
Chargers.
I agree.
Jersey.
Green Bay, Chicago.
Green Bay.
I'm going Chicago. I think they pull. We said at the beginning of the year that I think we thought they would get one of them this year. I think they might get them this week. Kansas City, Washington.
Kansas City.
I agree. Cincinnati, Detroit.
Cincinnati.
I'm going Detroit. I think they get a win.
That's the one game I'm already not confident on.
And then Dallas and New England.
Dallas.
I agree. Like I said, I don't have many picks to give out today. I just have 2 against the spread today. He's back, baby.
Oh, he is.
Asher, you back?
No. All right. Asher forgot something over there.
He's just getting his.
Oh, my God. Look at that big mic. Love it. I love it. All right, Justin, you can give out your picks and get his picks. I actually have some friends that are arriving here, and I have to go let them in.
All right.
So best of luck to everyone. Tell Asher I said best of luck. And I will catch everyone tomorrow. We probably can't do tomorrow morning because I will be on the airplane, but we can definitely do a recap before the Monday night game tomorrow.
What are the games? Let me try to get my picks in real quick.
Yeah. I got you, Asher. Tom just got to go. That's cool.
Yeah.
Later, guys.
Peace out, Tom.
So, like I said, we did 6 games last week. I went 2-4. You went 4-2. Tom went 5-1. I got 6 games here on the docket. Cleveland Cardinals.
Cardinals.
All right. Chargers Baltimore. Hopefully, a very good game.
Chargers.
I agree. Like it. Green Bay Chicago.
Green Bay.
All right. Kansas City Washington.
Kansas City.
Cincinnati Detroit.
Cincinnati.
Dallas New England.
Dallas.
All right. Well, that should do it for us. Asher, thank you for joining us again today, my man.
Absolutely.
Always welcome to come on whenever you want. I'm sure we'll hit you up at some point this week, probably right next weekend, see if you want to come on. We love having you on. But like I said, everyone have a great NFL Sunday. We will see you guys next week.
Absolutely.
Let's rock.